Max Verstappen, one of the most dominant drivers of his generation, has just put the entire Formula One paddock on notice. He might walk away from the sport. This isn't a negotiation tactic or a rumor from an unnamed source. This is a direct threat from the man himself, and it's all because of the sport's controversial new 2026 regulations. After his first proper taste of the new car in Bahrain, Verstappen didn't hold back, suggesting that the new formula is so fundamentally flawed that it might not be worth his time to continue. This is a story about more than just a driver's frustration. It's about a battle for the very soul of Formula One. So what exactly has pushed a four-time world champion to the brink of retirement? Let's break it down. The heart of the issue lies with the new 2026 power units. Formula One has doubled down on its hybrid technology, creating engines where the electrical motor and the internal combustion engine produce a near 50-50 split of power. On paper, this sounds like a futuristic and noble goal. In reality, it has created a car that, in Verstappen's own words, is anti-racing. He summed up his disgust perfectly, stating, "I want to be realistic as a driver. The feeling is not very F1-like. It feels more like Formula E on steroids." He then went even further, making a direct comparison that should worry the sport's owners. Maybe it's then better to drive Formula E, because that's all about energy, efficiency, and management. The problem is energy management. To keep the battery charged, drivers are now forced to do something that goes against every instinct they have: slow down to go faster. They have to lift and coast at the end of long straights, and even slow their cornering speeds, not for better grip, but to regenerate enough electrical energy to be able to deploy it again. This is a fundamental change in the way a driver approaches a lap. Instead of thinking about the shortest possible time from point A to point B, they are now forced to think about the most efficient way to manage their energy reserves. It's a paradigm shift that turns the driver from a pure racer into an energy manager. For a purist like Verstappen, this is sacrilege. He lives for the thrill of pushing a car to its absolute limit, of being on a knife's edge for every single corner of every single lap. This new style of driving, which is more about managing energy than it is about raw speed, feels like a betrayal of what Formula One has always been about. This isn't just a passing comment, it's a fundamental rejection of the direction the sport is heading. Verstappen has always been brutally honest, but this is different. This is a driver who has achieved everything there is to achieve in Formula One, questioning whether the sport he loves is still the sport he signed up for. It's a story that goes beyond the technical regulations and asks a much bigger question. What is Formula One supposed to be? Is it the pinnacle of motorsport, where the fastest drivers and the fastest cars battle it out on the limit? Or is it a high-speed laboratory for road-relevant technology? If you believe these are the kinds of questions we should be asking, subscribe to our channel to help us build a community that cares about the future of the sport. Verstappen's frustration is not just about the feeling in the car, it's about the very nature of the competition. He explained, "The rules are the same for everyone, so you have to deal with that, and that's also not my problem. But as a pure driver, I enjoy driving flat out, and at the moment, you cannot drive like that." This is the core of his argument. He's not complaining about a lack of competitiveness. He's complaining about a lack of purity. The art of qualifying is no longer about who can brake the latest and carry the most speed through a corner. It's about who can best manage their battery to produce the most efficient lap. For a driver who has built his career on raw, aggressive, on-the-limit driving, this is a bitter pill to swallow. And this is where the retirement threat comes in. Speaking to the Dutch media, Verstappen laid his cards on the table. "We're still racing in Formula One, and that's great. But once you've already won and achieved everything, then it's not really necessary to stay around anymore," he said. He then added the line that put the entire paddock on high alert. "This certainly doesn't help to keep going for a very long time." This is not a driver asking for more money or a better car. This is a driver who is genuinely questioning his motivation to continue in a sport that he feels is losing its identity. He has a contract with Red Bull until the end of 2028, but as he himself has hinted, there are always ways out. But here's the ultimate irony in this whole situation. Despite his hatred for the new regulations, Verstappen and Red Bull are, by all accounts, dominating. While other teams are struggling to manage their energy, the new Red Bull powertrains engine seems to be a masterpiece of efficiency. Mercedes boss Toto Wolff, after seeing the data from Bahrain, admitted that Red Bull is the benchmark at the moment, noting that they are able to deploy significantly more energy on the straights than anyone else. Carlos Sainz was even more blunt, saying, "Whatever Red Bull Ford powertrains were doing yesterday was a clear step ahead of anyone else. It was mighty impressive." So Verstappen is complaining about a set of rules that his team has mastered better than anyone else. This adds a fascinating layer to the story. The very regulations that he despises could be the ones that cement his legacy as one of the all-time greats. It's a delicious irony that is not lost on the rest of the paddock. Verstappen's unique ability to control a loose rear end, a skill that has set him apart in previous eras, is perfectly suited to the aggressive downshifting techniques required to charge the battery in these new cars. He has the spare mental capacity to manage the complex energy recovery systems while still driving on the absolute limit. In essence, the rules have inadvertently created the perfect Verstappen-centric formula. He may hate it, but he could be unbeatable in it. Is his frustration so deep that he would walk away from a potentially dominant car? Or is this a calculated move to put pressure on the FIA to change the rules, knowing that he has the leverage of being the sport's biggest star? It's a complex and intriguing situation, and it's one that has divided the paddock. Reigning champion Lando Norris, for example, had a very different take. When asked about Verstappen's comments, he bluntly replied, if he wants to retire, he can retire. Norris's perspective is that driving an F1 car, no matter the regulations, is a privilege. We get paid a stupid amount of money to drive, so you can't really complain at the end of the day, he said. He sees the new rules as a different kind of challenge, one that requires a different kind of skill set. You have to drive it in a different way and understand things differently and manage things differently, but I still get to drive cars and travel the world and have a lot of fun. So no, nothing to complain about. This contrast between the two top drivers in the sport perfectly encapsulates the philosophical battle that is raging within Formula One. On one side, you have the purist, the artist, the driver who sees Formula One as an expression of raw talent and courage. On the other, you have the pragmatist, the professional, the driver who sees Formula One as a job, a challenge, and an opportunity. Both are valid perspectives, but they are fundamentally at odds with each other. And that's what makes this story so compelling. It's not just about two drivers with different opinions. It's about two different ways of seeing the world. Ultimately, this is a story about more than just one driver's opinion. It's about the future of Formula One. Is the sport willing to risk alienating its purest talents and its most dedicated fans in the pursuit of a greener, more road-relevant image? Or will it listen to the concerns of a driver like Verstappen, who is arguing that the soul of the sport is at stake? The Australian Grand Prix will be the first real test of these new regulations, and the world will be watching to see if Verstappen's worst fears are realized. Will we see a procession of cars managing their energy, or will the drivers find a way to push the limits in this new era? The answer to that question could determine whether Max Verstappen's incredible Formula One career comes to a premature end. And that's the real story here. It's not just about one driver's opinion, it's about the very identity of the sport. It's about whether Formula One can find a way to balance its technological ambitions with the raw human drama that has always been its greatest appeal. It's a battle for the soul of the sport, and Max Verstappen has just fired the opening shot.